Hello, Texans, and welcome in. It's the Texans Player Show presented by Fuddruckers. I'm Marc Vandermeer with Deepi, Sidhu, and today we have Kamu Grugier-Hill. I'm so excited about this. We visited, I don't know if you remember this, Kamu, but we visited after a training camp practice, and it was about 100 degrees, and it was a great 5 minutes. And I know those interviews are not the greatest always, but you were terrific. And I think, have you interviewed Kamu before, Deepi?
I have in training camp. Same time, super hot, sweaty off the field. But he was great.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, which I have follow-up questions. It's been a few months.
And I also watched My Football Story, which is produced by Tyler Sudarth, who's sitting not too far away from where we are right now here in the Didge, the Hyundai Texans radio studio. And I know you did that, so I learned a little bit more about you there with your background in Hawaii and everything, going to Eastern Illinois, which is it's an NFL hotbed. It really is.
Surprisingly, right?
Yes. I mean, do you know the vast amount? It's not just Garoppolo, who I know was your quarterback but there are a lot of NFL players and
It's crazy because when I got offered to the school, I had no idea. I actually still didn't know probably until like my junior year, like of how rich, like, and deep-rooted like some NFL guys coming out of that school. So, I mean, it was a blessing for sure.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, he posted something recently on his Instagram where they hung up your picture.
That was crazy.
On a banner next to Mike Shanahan and Sean Payton outside the football stadium.
That's big.
Yeah, it was big. I mean, honestly, I never expected anything like that. And for them to do that, and it was like random. They didn't even hit me up or nothing. Like I got a text from like one of my friends, and he's like, "Hey, dude, check this out." And I was like, "Whoa."
It was Kamu Day in Eastern Illinois.
I was like, wow. That's pretty special.
One thing that struck me is you're from Hawaii and you had never been to the campus. They offered you accepted, and the first time you go, that's it. You're there. You're living there now, Eastern Illinois.
It's crazy. Well, so like I said in the little video, I get offered, but I go home and tell my mom, no one in my family went to college. We never really left Hawaii ever. And so we could literally, my mom could not point out where Illinois was on a map. We had to we pull up the U.S. map and we had to look where is it? And then I was like, that's too far. Like, I'm not going there. So I actually told them no at first. Ooh. But then I didn't show up to the signing day, and the coach calls my mom and gets her on some 2-hour conversation. She hangs up the phone. We're leaving next week. And
wow. Convincing.
Yeah. So
let me ask you this. University of Hawaii, no shot? I mean, there's no connection there with high school and maybe have a look at this guy?
So here's what it was. There's two things. I started playing real late, right? I didn't play any of my junior year, and really my film was only from my senior year. And then so they know, I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but on the outside, what we know is guys aren't going to travel away to walk on somewhere.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like you're not going to fly to California to go walk onto a team. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're going to walk onto a team, you don't have any scholarships, they know you're going to walk on to University of Hawaii. So, I mean, I guess they didn't value me at the time, and I didn't have an offer for them.
So they saved their scholarships for the mainland guys.
Yeah, exactly. No, really. No, It's really what they did. But they changed that now. Now, like, they really kind of honed in on growing the Hawaii athletes and the Hawaiians and stuff, but
too many good players
but
there.
When I was in high school, it was a lot. They would recruit only the mainland.
Isn't football the biggest sport in Hawaii?
Yeah,
by far.
I
mean, they play a little baseball, maybe a little basketball, but football's it, right?
Yeah,
that's
really
a Hawaiian sport.
Had you ever left Hawaii before you went to college?
I think I went to San Francisco with my mom when I was 4 or 5, and I vaguely remember it. There's nothing.
That was all you'd seen
on
the mainland?
That was the only time I've ever.
Because it seems like a lot of people that grew up on Hawaii, they're very content just staying on the island or island hopping.
It's very content. There's some people I know that haven't even left the island to go to a different island. It's very content.
I mean, I don't blame them. If I live there.
Yeah, it's a very content lifestyle though, for sure.
Did you ever get island fever? Did you ever feel like you wanted to leave?
I didn't. I did. It's funny you say that because I didn't until I left, and then people would say that, and then I would come back and be like, you know what? Actually, I kind of want to get out of here now. So You come here and I think I live the best of both worlds because I get to live in Hawaii and live the island life, and then I get to live in the mainland and go city to city, Nashville, Scottsdale, wherever I want to go, Houston, and I just live that life too. So,
which island did you grow up on?
So I was born on Oahu, moved to Big Island, grew up there for most of my childhood, and then when I got into high school, went back to Oahu.
Okay, which is the best island you think to live on or visit?
I like Big Island a lot.
Yeah.
Oahu's home. It really is. I'm building a house there. All my family's there. It's home.
Do they live near Honolulu or right around the suburbs or somewhere else? Because
my family?
Yeah, every time I've been, Pro Bowl or whatever, when it was there, There's a lot of traffic
Yeah,
around
there's a lot of
Honolulu.
traffic.
It's not exactly.
It's a city.
It's a city.
Big
You
city.
feel like you're in. I liken it to Miami meets Vegas on the beach.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
right there.
Yeah, it's really Oahu's really if you cut it in half, the entire south side is industrialized, traffic, crazy Honolulu City. But if you go to the other side, it's very country, beach like that. So you kind of get the most of the best of worlds there too. But no, we don't live in Oahu. We live in Aiea. It's south side a little bit, but we're still like in the mountains.
So surfing, you did some of that as a kid. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's just kind of the way of life there, you know. Like
lifestyle.
every weekend we're in there. It's whatever. We would even grab McDonald's trays. We'd go to McDonald's, take the little trays, and use those as little boards, whatever you could get. Seriously,
awesome.
seriously. But you know, my best friend is actually a pro surfer. He was just on a show talking about shows, The Ultimate Surfer.
Sure.
And he just won it, and he did the
Whoa.
whole thing.
He won the whole
He
thing?
won the whole thing. He was on ABC. And so he's like the real deal, though. Like he's on tour, he does all this stuff. So
Are you good?
that's what I'm trying to preference. Like he's elite. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's like
yeah,
saying
yeah.
like that's like people saying like, oh, I played football too. Like okay, you know, like in high school, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I can surf a little bit, but it's nothing like special.
You know, speaking of famous athlete friends, you and I talked about this in training camp. You played volleyball in high school. His setter in high school was on the Olympic team.
Oh, that's strong.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
That's
still,
fun.
he's still.
So
he's
how good of a volleyball player are you?
See, same thing. Like if you're comparing me to him,
Sure.
I mean, probably not very good. But I mean, I don't know. I've played everything.
Outside hitter or
yeah, I played
okay.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great sport. You know, it's a great men's sport in college. I actually did the Final Four once on radio in Honolulu. And, you know, it was at USC and Long Beach and those teams, and I was with Penn State doing their radio. But it's a great sport, women's and men's.
It is. I think it's underrated, and it really for me was just so fun. Like I just had the way it started too. Like talking about this, like this how my family dynamic is every weekend we're at the beach, right? So we started just playing beach volleyball, and I was just started getting good or whatever, and then my family was like, just go play for the team, and I was like, all right, I'll try, and I just fell in love with it.
Is it so different playing beach volleyball versus?
Oh yeah, it
Like what is the biggest adjustment?
Well, just the way you even jump, like the way you take your approach and all that stuff, because it's like you're on a hard court, like it's like basketball, right? The way you have to jump on sand is completely different. It's just the style is different.
Is one harder than the other?
Sand beach volleyball is way
I
harder.
would think
yeah.
so. I would think if you could do sand beach
Yeah.
volleyball, you could play volleyball anywhere.
Beach volleyball is harder.
For the women, it's an NCAA sport now. So
Yeah.
my niece was doing it for a little bit. All right, Kamu Grugier-Hill with us. And we'll get to the current state of affairs here with the team, but a little bit more on you getting drafted by the Patriots, because we were talking to Nick Caserio about this. We were talking about the ones that got away, players that might have gotten away. I said, hey, he got away, but you got him back here. So it's funny because when we did that video of you getting drafted, defensive back, Kamu Grugier-Hill. So talk about your evolution there once you get picked and how you change or evolve as a position player.
Yeah, so the whole Patriot thing was kind of cool because, I was doing some workouts coming out for the draft, and one of the guys that came out was Brian Flores, who's obviously Miami's head coach now, came and worked me out. I thought we both thought it went well, and so draft day comes. We don't really know. With the Patriots, like you never really know. They don't share anything, right? So
Right.
me and my agents were kind of figuring out like where am I going to fall? Is it 5th round, 4th round, 6th round, 7th round, undrafted? Like we had really no clue. End up getting the call, and when it was the Patriots, I was super excited because Jimmy was there. You know what I mean? I was like,
Sure.
this is great because I get I can have one of my boys there. It's going to be a great adapting thing, and like whatever. But it was, I mean, even now when people say like, oh, you were a Patriots guy, I'm like, was I? I was there for 3 months. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I really call myself, like, when I think of my rookie year and stuff, it's like, don't get me wrong. Like, it was the biggest blessing of my life. Like, so appreciative and so thankful for that. But, like, I was there for 3 months. Like, I was really a
Right.
Philly rookie. You know what I mean? Like,
That's where you played.
That's where I played
Yeah.
Philly for 4 years. Like, that was really my roots, so.
Yeah, and you were there at a good time to be
Yeah,
a Philadelphia
yeah.
Eagle. No doubt about it. Doug Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
And were you surprised, though, that it didn't last that long, that whole mini era right there, winning the Super Bowl and things kind of sort of come apart for the team?
It's this dude. I mean, Philly is gonna be a special place in my heart for a long time. Like the fans there are crazy. The city, what we did there was special. But just there's some things that just happened after the Super Bowl that you just year after year was just crumbling down, and I'm surprised. Definitely, it didn't last that long, but I'm not like super shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting dynamic with Nick Foles. You know, he comes off the bench, you win the Super Bowl. He has to come off the bench again. We were there at the end of 2018 and lost to them in a heck of a game. And it was Foles again.
Yeah.
Aguilar.
That was when Clowney had the hit him in the chest, right?
Yes, he did. And that was 15 yards. And good night, everybody. But that was, it's just an incredible atmosphere there and everything.
Yep,
so
definitely.
a good place for you to be for a while, no doubt. All right, so being here, playing for Lovie Smith, what's that like, this system?
I love it. I mean, this is truthfully a dream come true. I think, I was, as a young player, I didn't know much about different systems and stuff because I was only in one system, right? And like now that I'm in my 6th year, I've been, in 3 different systems. I get to see, I'm like, I really like this system. Like it fits me. It lets me be able to just I think just be the player that I know I can be.
It seems like linebackers really like Lovie's system. I asked him about it in the offseason because all the linebackers were saying this is such a linebacker-friendly defense. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we do things that I never even know really existed in football. Like,
is that right?
Yeah. Like just the way he allows us to play the game is fun.
And he's moved you around a little bit because he was asked about you in particular, and he said that you played Will, you played Sam, you've done a couple of different things, that you have that flexibility. Do you like that sort of flexibility, or are you one of those guys that I just want to get to my position and master it?
It's a little bit of both. I love being able to do both because it just allows us to do like different looks, different things, and all that. But I was mostly a Will in training camp, and I loved it. Like even when I'm at the Will position, like I love it. Like it's just I feel like I can, do my thing. But I do love Sam. Like I love being able to go back and forth too.
So is it the freedom of the system a little bit? What really appeals to you?
It really is just how aggressive, he allows us to be in pass and run. Like it's just there's no real gray area. It's like certain plays we see a play and we're able to just go and where in other systems it's like, okay, you have to do this, but you also kind of have to hold this here, and it's just there's some gray area, and I think they do a really good job of taking that out.
I've heard guys describe it like this is more of an attack mode and not so much of a stop and analyze what you're seeing sort of mode. Is that the defense that you came from in Philly? I know you've played with Philly, you played with Miami, but have you played in anything similar to this before that you can really compare it to?
Not so much attack. In Philly, the D-line there was so elite that everything was kind of built around them, which is, I mean, obviously works, But here is just the way they allow us to play from every position, the corners, safeties, LBs, and the D-line, like, is very attacking, and not even just in the run. Like, obviously, you see some plays, like, we're very downhill attacking in the run. But even in the past, like we're jumping routes, we're doing all this kind of stuff. So I mean, it's fun.
What is it like when, all right, so you start with New England, you go to Philly, you're in Miami, you're here now. Being a professional football player, when you have to relocate, you just have to live somewhere else and work somewhere else. What is that like? Because you guys spend so much time in the building.
Yeah.
It's very much about the facility, but you still want to have a little bit of a life outside of that.
It's actually funny. Going to Miami from Philly, I was kind of, I was going back to the whole Philly thing. It was time for me. I was like, I'm ready for a fresh start. So going to Miami, I was kind of excited for that. And then when I realized I wasn't going to stay there and I was coming here, I was happy to be here, but I was like, I told my agent, I was like, bro, after also being here, I fell in love with Houston. I was like, I need to make this home. Because one, like, I love this place. And two, like, I don't want to move. I don't want to keep moving again. So, like, let's really, like, hone in here, and I'm going to, do my job and really make sure we can, cut out something here.
All right, so what is it about Houston? Give us a couple of things that you like about being here and why you decided to make it home.
I just love Houston. Like, I love Texas, honestly. Like, I just love, first, the food here is unbelievable. Like, the people here are great. The just fans, like, I've got planted into a nice church out here that I fell in love with. So, I don't know. It's just so, like, okay, honestly, it has like the Hawaii personality.
It's laid back.
Yeah, like
for
it's
a big
very
city.
It's very like the personality of it like just feels like back home a little bit.
You know why? Because he played in Philly and Miami,
Oh,
which
yeah,
are
yeah.
two,
Oh, yeah.
two of the most
Edgy.
unlaid back places.
Yeah.
Even Miami for being on the beach.
Oh, no, Miami's not laid
It's not
back.
laid back.
No.
You would think beach towns are laid back, but I get what you're saying because I'm not from Houston originally.
Yeah.
But I love Texas too, but I think it's high praise coming from a guy that grew up in Hawaii to say I want it. So you want to? This is where you want to live permanently? You think?
No, well, I mean, I'm gonna live in Hawaii. I'm gonna live in Hawaii.
I'm like, has it edged out Hawaii?
No.
Home.
Yeah, it's gonna be my mainland home. Nothing's gonna ever replace Hawaii. That's gonna be number one. But I like Houston a lot.
What's the best sort of food that you've had so far since you've been here?
I mean, the list goes on. I literally have like in my notes like this long of just restaurants, and I hit all of them, and they're all fire.
All right, so Tex-Mex or barbecue or a blend, because a lot of places blend them.
Yeah. Okay, this might be unpopular. I don't know what anyone's other opinion on this is, but I love Chewy's. Is Chewy's underrated or overrated?
No. People like Chewy's, yeah.
I like Chewy's a lot.
Yeah.
That's Tex-Mex though, right?
That's Tex-Mex.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think people who want authentic Mexican food, they come to Texas and they're like disappointed. But
you have
Tex-Mex,
to have somebody show you.
Yeah, it's like there's a difference.
What is your guys' opinion on Torchy's?
Love
Torchy's.
There's so many great places.
Taco places are the thing that I would
That's my
miss
thing.
if I ever left Texas. I'd miss like small breakfast tacos, lunch tacos, dinner tacos. There's a bunch of I'll give you a list of taco places.
It's kind of like a lot of places where a certain kind of food is popular. There's so much competition. You better be good. Like in New Orleans, you stay at some hotel and they have great food because they got to compete with the restaurants around them. It's that kind of thing. Except for Philadelphia. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? I can't lie. The food in Philly is actually pretty good.
It's not.
You
bad.
wouldn't think so, but like they have like these like I don't know. It's like very Italian restaurants that are like really good.
Yeah,
sure.
I can see that.
Like,
I can see that.
I don't know.
I really wanted a cheesesteak when we went up there, and I don't remember if we ever got one or not.
I think they're kind of overrated.
That's what I had heard, so I think we were just.
I agree. That's a regional. We could do a whole show on regional foods
that
are overrated.
Yeah.
Like crab cakes in Baltimore. Okay, I like a crab cake, but it's not that great.
You spent time in Boston, so it's probably not.
Well, that's a little bit different too. Clam chowder and that sort of thing. But playing for Flores or being with him in Miami, how similar was it to what you learned in a short amount of time in New England?
I mean, not. He's kind of done his own flavor.
Really?
And yeah. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's very similar. The defense they run, from what I know, seems a little similar. But I mean, he's his own man.
Do people make too big a deal about the culture of things? Because we talk about the Patriots culture sometimes, and then you have people who used to work for that organization, and did they take it with them or do their own thing, like Brian Flores, or here with Nick Caserio and Jack and everybody else? How do you see that part of it?
It's interesting because people always say that when it comes to the Patriots, it's like I almost feel like it has like this like negative connotation on it, like where it's like so like like it's miserable but then I think it's just about like it's coaching trees, right? Like if you look at the Andy Reid coaching tree, like Doug Peterson came from there,
Culley
Coach Culley, even the both of why am I blanking? Jim Harbaugh, like those guys, and like I guess there's something to be said like you talk to other teammates or like guys that are on those different teams, and when they talk about practice, he's like, dang, it sounds kind of like my practice, so it's like it's hard to say, like, is it a bad thing because it's just kind of what they learned, and it's just, it works. It's just kind of who they are.
So when you played the Patriots on Sunday, were there a lot of teammates or people on that side of the coaching tree that came up to you or remembered you? I know you spent a short amount of time there.
I mean, being in it, 6 years now, you kind of just know players just from playing, so many times. But yeah, there's definitely guys, like Dante Hightower, Matt Slater, like all those guys. I was in the room with Hightower. I was his rookie, so, those guys, him and Jamie Collins and all those guys, it was cool to catch up with them.
He's back there too now. Mm-hmm.
Do you like practice?
I think that's a loaded question.
No, I just wanted. some because I hear from some people that they love practice, but to me, football, it's about game day. Because the old saying is, you pay me from Monday through Saturday. Sunday I give you for free because it's the game. Yeah,
I think I would be lying to you if I said I loved practice, but I understand it's a necessity. Like you need to practice, you need to watch film, you need to put the grind in throughout the week, and your results come on Sunday. Because I can't imagine doing nothing all week and then going into the game blind. You know what I mean? It's just
that would be a little stressful.
There's just so many different times in the game where I'm like, okay, this is the one from practice. Like let's so it's a necessity. But
Coaches,
Do I love it? No.
No. Okay. Well, coaches talk about having like a good week of practice and a bad week of practice. As a player, do you have a sense of how the practice week is going, how the game is going to go on Sunday?
That's always so weird. I think if I'm being truthful, I can only speak for myself. Like, I know if I have a good week of practice, I feel confidently going into the game. Like just mentally more than anything. And if I have a bad week, not that I'm not confident, but I'm like, there's just certain things that I'm like, oh, let me double check on that. So I don't know, because I've had a bad week of practice and had a good game, and then I've had good week of practice and then have not so good game. So I don't know.
Is it more of a mental thing,
I think it's
studying for a test?
Yeah,
whether or not you feel prepared.
Exactly, that's what it is. It's like throughout the week, really, feeling prepared and feeling good into the game. I can only speak for myself on that. I don't really know.
So is a TFL or a sack or a pick, like, what is the most satisfying play for you? I mean, it's got to be forcing a fumble, I guess, or some kind of takeaway, but what do you think?
I mean, there's no better play than, I think, any interception.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
And you've been so close.
Don't talk to me about it right
now. I can imagine.
Me.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, any play you make is going to be a big play, and it's there's no better feeling. That's what's so addicting about football. It's like I think that's what keeps guys in for so long, and why guys truthfully have trouble after football, because it's a feeling, and it's, for lack of a better term, like a high that you get that nothing else will give you. When you make a play and everyone's screaming, and but interception is probably pretty up there.
He does lead the team in tackles for loss right now.
Well, it's hard not to notice. I say your name all the time, and it's just really satisfying, obviously, for the fans to see that TFL, but I would imagine for a player, it's just one of those great plays. You're behind the line of scrimmage, and there they are behind the sticks, which no offense wants to be. Yep. They always talk about that. The Texans offense talks about that.
I was going to say, second to the interception is definitely, I think, obviously, well, TFLs and sacks, when you come free or you diagnose a play and you just shoot it, and, I mean.
So you mentioned you're thinking about certain things going into the game and what you practiced. There have to be games where there's no thinking. You're just playing free, right? Yeah. Those moments where it's just me playing the game. That's got to be so rewarding.
Yeah, for me, that's when I feel most at peace. When I'm really thinking too much and stuff, I usually have noticed that's when I kind of have my worst games, is when I'm trying to jump different things before I'm premeditating things, and that's one thing I really love about Coach Levy's defense is it's really rules based. So not that you would ever do this, but like you could really go into a game with no film and just read keys. Like they're so good about like knowing where our eyes are, knowing where the keys are, and just allowing us to play fast. That that's why I love this defense, for real.
Are you impressed with how many takeaways this defense has forced, and near takeaways this defense has forced?
Well, yes. I wouldn't say impressed. Like it's been the standard since the second they came in, but like we really should have more. Like there's so many that like we're left out there right now, and that's what's more crazy to me.
But even then, like the number that you've gotten, like we didn't see hardly any takeaways last year.
Yeah.
The Texans were last in the league, so we'd heard them talk about it all off season. We saw it in preseason. And, I know a lot of people were thinking, okay, but let's wait till the game start. But it's been sustainable for the most part.
I mean, that's probably the number one emphasis in the defense. When in any room we talk, anytime we're talking, anytime Coach Levy's talking, the position coach is talking, it's always about takeaways. So. And
we've seen the ball through some hands and things like that. Well, but, these guys are ripping it, right? It's easier said than done, right, to grab one of those, especially at close range-ish, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll try for more on Sunday.
I mean, I think it's so impressive that you guys get your hand. I mean, I think it's always a big play when you even get your hand on the ball.
Yeah.
Obviously, the play's dead, but I'm sure from your point of view, to actually get the takeaway is
I just think that we can take that next step, like fully finishing those plays, and I think that'll just, a big issue on our team right now is like we're just not finishing. You know what I mean? Like even that Patriots game, like we're so close and we're just not able to finish. And I think it's the little things like that. Like we're joking about it, and it getting our hands on ball and stuff. But like those are game-changing plays. If like you catch the ball, if say in the Bills game, I mean give or take. But if me and Christian catch those two balls, like who knows what happens? You know what I mean? Like
It changes the
momentum.
momentum.
It changes,
Sure.
field position. It changes
Well,
everything.
you guys hung in there. I know it was a tough day for the offense, and I know you guys are all a team together, but you guys hung in there nicely. It was you were within striking distance through the third quarter, really. It just couldn't get going. All right, Kamu Grugier-Hill is with us. We'll talk about the Colts on Sunday. We'll also get to know him a little bit better. I have more questions on Hawaii and, little things that he likes to do. All right, it's Texans Players Show presented by Fuddruckers here on Texans Radio. It's the Texans Players Show presented by Fuddruckers. Marc, Vandermeer, and Deepi Sidhu with you. Kamu Grugier-Hill is our guest, and as we established in segment 1, he's from Hawaii, went to Eastern Illinois. Oh, here's one for you. You go from Eastern Illinois, you get drafted, you're with the Patriots, and I know that Eastern Illinois has produced some players and everything, but what was it like for you to be up against that kind of competition in training camp and just being around NFL players and trying to make your way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the first thing I ever noticed was just the speed of the game, for sure. When I first came in, because, in college, I was kind of able to just run around everyone and just make the plays, But when I was like, all right, I'm going to try that. My first practice didn't work. So, everyone's fast, everyone's big. So, yeah, I mean, that was definitely a learning curve.
How about the fact that you're facing Tom Brady in practice? Was that?
That was probably.
Was that like a big NFL fan moment for you?
So that's what I'm saying. So for me, I'm really not like one of the fan guys. Like I don't really kind of get starstruck like that. But not so much Tom Brady, but for me coming from Eastern Illinois, and the coming to the NFL was really only true for me my senior year. I wanted to, you know what I mean? It was a goal for mine, but the reality of it only came alive my senior year, right? And so everything just happened fast. Finished the year, did the combine training, got drafted, and then now I'm in New England, right? And Bill Belichick calls me in on a one-on-one meeting, and I remember sitting there at the desk with him, and he's just talking to me all this stuff, and I'm looking at him, and I'm not retaining anything he's saying because I'm just kind of oh my gosh, this is Bill Belichick, So it's always a story I always tell because it was funny moment for me.
That's like Marc when he ran into Bill Belichick in the elevator once at the owners' meetings.
Yeah, he was really nice. It was completely different from the press conferences. He was super, and we've all seen him on that Football Life where they go over the 2009 season. They were spending time with him then, and he's completely different than he is in the sound bites that he gives, where it's I'm really fired up.
Yeah.
Super Bowl championship. But so you don't remember exactly what he said.
That should go over well in practice.
I know, right? He was. Well, I know he was talking to me about because like they said, you were talking about how when they announced my name, it was DB, right? Defensive back. So that's what we were kind of talking about because he was like, I'm not really sure we're going to play you yet if you want to be a safety or linebacker. So that was what the conversation was for the first 30 seconds, and then I was out.
So is that when you changed to linebacker? Was during that time?
So no, I always played linebacker. I actually, it's funny. People always, I don't know, I always tease the NFL about this because I'm like, you guys as scouts are so good, but you say that I played safety before. I'm like, pull up film of me playing safety.
Oh, you've never played safety?
I've never played safety. I played more safety snaps in the league than I did in college.
Well, what was your size in college?
So that's the thing. I was always I graduated high school at 185. I played my freshman year at 195, and I graduated at 210.
Okay, so
I was always
you were a box safety or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But that's still a linebacker build. His height is a linebacker build.
It's also the evolution of the linebacker position, right? Because how did you have to change your body once you got to the league? Or was it during your training for combat?
Well, that's the thing. When I first got into the league was kind of the notion and the new era of these more athletic, lighter linebackers. It really was who really set it off that I noticed first was Deion Buchanan. Because he was a year older than me, and he got drafted to Arizona, and he was 210, and they started playing him at Mike. And so that, for me, was kind of we can actually do this. But the issue was, when I got to Philly, they didn't that system was about, bigger linebackers and stuff. So really, my first 2 years in Philly, I was at, 215, maybe 210, but I was only a special teams guy, so it didn't bother them because I was just, being able to fly around and stuff. But then after that, they're like, all right, we want you to start starting on defense. So they're like, you need to put on weight. So I got to 235. I think I played. Yeah, it was bad.
Wow.
It was bad.
Did you feel slower?
I felt terrible.
You did.
Literally, I felt
a lot of weight.
I felt horrible.
What did you eat to get to 235?
Everything and anything. Yes, seriously, I was so unhealthy. It was not good weight. But then I got hurt that year, but I played through the whole year with an injury. And then my 4th year, it was just I tried to do the same thing, and my body just gave out, and like it was just So coming to Miami last year and now, like I play at 220 here, and I love it. I feel like I'm still strong. I can still run like I feel like how I did at 210, but I still can kind of have impact like I do at 235. So I love it.
Is it hard to maintain that number? You go down or up, or probably not up, but it's probably tough.
I mean, I mean, if I'm
especially in this heat,
I'm being very transparent, I think like there's some days I'm 225 and there's some days I'm 215. So but game day I make sure I have to be 220, 222 ish around. But like there's definitely some times where it's hard.
It's funny because there's some guys who have the opposite problem.
Yeah. No,
I gotta keep it down.
How did you go from? How did you get down to the weight that you wanted? Did you make a concerted effort, or just over time did you sort of find that
to the weight?
Yeah, like did you just discover that this was the weight you wanted to be at, or did you say I need to lose
what happened was when I was at 235, and then I forget what happened. It was like my 4th year. I ended up hurting my knee in training camp, and I missed the first 4 games. And I dropped down weight like accidentally to like 225. And when I came back, I was flying around like playing really well. And the thing that didn't make sense was they weren't like satisfied with what I was doing on the field. They would like, how we weigh in here every Friday. They would just see that weight and be like, hey, you got to put more weight on. Like, it wasn't like they were concerned about like me getting pushed around or something like that.
What about all those tackles?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. So I was like, all right, yeah, like I'm working on it. But like in my mind, I was like, I feel better at this weight. So I was giving them a little bit. Like I would get to like 228, like closer to 230. But then I just kind of kept that in my back pocket. So when I left, I'm like, that's the first thing I told the Miami coaches. I was like, dude, I really want to play at 225. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And then when I came here, Coach Lovey was like, you can stay at 220. I'm like, oh, even better. I'm ready.
Because they want you guys to be athletic and run around a bunch.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like everything about this system, I'm just like, this is literally my dream come true.
All right, so you're not old, but you're not a rookie anymore either. So how have you evolved in nutrition and things like that you do to take care of your body?
I think, it's just a big part of everything is just getting on a routine. Like I know what I can and can't eat now. I'm not a big foodie like, hey, I need to have this strict diet. But, like certain things like I do no sugar, no dairy. Like it's just really broad and basic.
Gosh, how do you do
that's
that?
That's it, Marc.
Just no sugar,
no sugar,
dairy.
That's what I eat.
That's half of my diet too.
That means no ice cream. Does ice cream fall into that
no
sugar
cheeses,
and dairy
no
category?
Milk. Oh, that's tough.
Dairy is definitely the bigger one. Sugar, I mean, it's hard you can't cut out all sugar. That's like almost impossible. But
How did you decide that dairy was going to be the thing that you cut out? Do you just feel better?
So I did one of those tests where it's like a food sensitivity test, and so I saw there's certain foods that affect my body or like cause more inflammation. And I don't think I'm lactose intolerant, but like dairy, like before I even took the test, I knew that it was like I could have ice cream or a milkshake or something, and I would be in the bathroom for like the next 30 minutes. Like,
so you probably definitely had something.
There was just something like that I could just feel, or I would go to practice the next day and I just feel like, why do I feel this way? And like once it was almost just trial and error. Like you take one thing out, and then so when I did that and took the dairy out, I felt good, and I was like.
Does anybody on this team eat so well, and you sort of marvel at the way they eat? And maybe you're not going to do it, but
I have a guess, but I want to see if I'm right.
The only guy I can actually think of is Christian Kirksey. He's on like this like strict kind of diet because he's had some issues in the past that he did kind of the similar thing where he did a test, and so he's on a pretty strict diet. But not too crazy.
Okay.
I was going to say David Johnson because I just remember in training camp we had this survey of which HEB foods do you want, and he wanted the vegetables.
Really?
The veggie tray on the bridge?
He wanted the veggie tray. Do you remember that question of which
two
would you pick? It was like brisket.
Yeah.
It was like salsa, guac.
Yeah. You picked the veggie tray.
Everyone was mad that there was a veggie tray even as an option.
I had a teammate in Philly that would literally eat vegetables. I'm talking like eggs, and it was like a salad. Like that was his breakfast. And I was like, everything was all vegetables, and I was like, "How do you live life?"
Was he
like
the kicker?
This? No, he was Jordan Matthews, the receiver. Yes,
okay.
Like this guy is next level with nutrition. But like, I don't know how he lives life like that. Like I'm just like, I would be depressed.
Is that like it? Do you guys have an off season and an in season diet? Is your diet change much?
Yeah, I think I'm more conscientious or conscious about it when I'm in season for sure. Off season, I mean.
That's when you're eating all the tacos. And
all right, our guest is Kamu Grugier-Hill. We are presented by Fuddruckers. They do have some dairy products there and some sugar. Okay, I know this. Burgers, shakes, all of it at Fuddruckers. One more segment coming up, and I've got some more questions, and we got to get to Indianapolis on Sunday. Road game for the Texans, noon kick. It's Texans Radio. Kamu Grugier-Hill joining us on the Fuddruckers Texans Players Show. Marc Vandermeer and Deepi Sidhu with you. All right, back out on the road. You have the Colts on Sunday, Lucas Oil Stadium. And since you're relatively new to the Texans still, let me just introduce you to my feelings about this, Kamu, because I hate the Colts like poison, okay? This is the Texans' nemesis. Now, the Colts actually haven't won the division since 2014, yet they have a winning record against the Titans and the Texans during that time. It's weird. And the Jags. They have a winning record in the division since 2014, but they haven't won the division. And it doesn't matter. I hate them. We've had some tough days with them. This is the big rival, no question about it. Your thoughts on Indy as we go in?
Yeah, I mean, we watched the game last night, and I think, this is a game we need. We need to go in and really apply pressure and do whatever. We got to come out win on this weekend for sure.
Does it help you to have the familiarity with Frank Reich and Carson Wentz on the opposite side of the ball? Does it look? I mean, I'm sure I know it looks different than it did when you were with Philly.
Carson's a good friend of mine, so we've obviously been together for a while. But I mean, different. Same thing. It's like that would be like him playing against me. I'm in a totally different system now, and playing differently. You can tell he's doing things a little differently. So, I don't know.
Is it strange, though, when you see former teammates, former coaches? I mean, everywhere you go, there's former people that you were associated with another franchise.
I mean, the NFL is really just a big fraternity. Like, that's really what it is. It's that's what I learned throughout the years. So many guys. I mean, there's guys on this team that I've played with in Philly and, in Miami, So, it's really all it is a big fraternity.
You said that you didn't really have the NFL right in the crosshairs until your senior year of college. If there was no NFL, what would you be doing right now?
Probably like construction back home or something.
Really? No volleyball.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was one of those guys put all his eggs in his basket. I was like, I'm going with this. We gotta make it.
What'd you study at Eastern Illinois?
Kinesiology.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
You had said in your My Football Story that you weren't a great student.
Yeah.
Did that change in college?
No. It probably got worse.
Mark, you don't know this. When I was in Kauai this summer, and the server at a restaurant just randomly asked if we were from San Francisco. Because I'm Indian, maybe they have a lot of Indians that come from San Francisco. I said, no, I'm from Houston. Then he asked me if I liked the Texans. And I said, I do, because I work for them. And he said, do you know Kamu Grugier-Hill? I was a linebacker with him in high school.
Oh, cool.
And then he told me a story about you walking out on a math test.
He did not.
I was like, oh.
Wait, was it a little too much? the math test?
He was done. He was like, I don't want to take this math test.
That's a strong move, walking out of the math test. I cannot tolerate this test.
I've had enough.
My mom used to come to school with like a tissue box, and like we'd be in the principal's office because I went to private school, right? So it's like they could like kick you out and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
And, I mean, the stress I put my mom through, I'm like, literally, I'm sorry, Mom. But, yeah, I mean.
Was it calculus? What was it?
No, I mean, it was probably like basic algebra.
I want to say it was geometry, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I can't believe he told you that story.
He did. I made him write it down because I said, I'm going to forget all this. I have his name written down somewhere.
That is so funny.
Yeah. It was funny because I think it's just such a, like you're saying, a fraternity, but I think that Hawaii football player fraternity is even smaller.
Oh, yeah,
They
definitely.
really root for the guys that make it into the NFL.
Yeah, Hawaii is a very, the culture there, it doesn't matter who makes it and what. I mean, we have like, pro MMA fighters, we got pro surfers, we have pro baseball players like Colton Wong. Anyone who's like goes and, is successful, like Hawaii really jumps on their back and, is rooting for them no matter what team. And it's pretty awesome.
What do people not know about Hawaii who don't live there? People who just see it on TV, vacation paradise. But what do people not know about Hawaii?
I think, a big issue with that is people, like you said, see the TV and the beautifulness of it. And I get to see and it's something that I want to help back home. It's just like how bad the poverty for the locals are. It's really, really bad. And like, honestly, not even that, like the public school, private school deficit in Hawaii is like horrible. Like
Really?
if you go to public school there, and I have nieces and nephews that are in public school there, and it's like it's almost you have no shot. It's really bad. Like, it is really bad. So, you know, for me, especially, you know, I'm trying to figure some things out now, but like going forward, and like that's something that's definitely on my heart is fixing, you know, the school systems and just how the locals just they kind of get pushed out, you know, and I mean the poverty line in Hawaii is something crazy. I don't know, like just don't fact check me on this. I think it's like close to like $90,000 a year.
Whoa.
It's like the tourism industry is booming so much there,
Yeah.
but it feels like the locals are. It's like everyone's making minimum wage or something, and that's what they're sustaining themselves on. I don't know if they are, but it does seem like the people that live there, the housing, and you know, you've got these big beautiful resorts, but the locals are living in these small older homes.
Yeah,
know?
it's sad, but you know, it's something I want to definitely be a part of helping that for sure.
Tourism and agriculture, right? Pretty much the
tourism number one for sure. Though.
Number one, right? And there is some agriculture still, obviously, but interesting. Well, it's you'll have that opportunity, I'm sure, but you're way far away from being done with your NFL career.
Yeah, thank you.
We got another decade plus here, Kamu. Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining us. It's really been a pleasure. We look forward to catching up soon, and have a good one on Sunday.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.